I knew my mom would die from her brain cancer before she did. So did the rest of my immediate family. Exactly 10 years ago today, my mom collapsed while at home and was rushed to the ER in an ambulance, which is documented in my book, Losing Linda May, A Cancer Caregiving Memoir. An MRI showed that the main lesion of non-Hodgkin lymphoma in her brain had doubled in size since November, which meant that the drug that she was on through her experimental trial at a cancer research institute in New York City was not working, and that also meant that her fate was sealed. She was definitively going to die from her disease. The ER doctor overseeing my mom only provided this update to my dad because my mom was pretty much out of commission from everything that had happened during the day, and they decided it would be for the best that her original oncologist tell her the news instead of this random doctor that she had only met that day. However, this occurred on a Sunday, and her oncologist wouldn't be able to visit until Tuesday. So for about 2 days, my family knew that my mom was going to die, but she didn't. In the last video I uploaded on December 27th, I talked about all the conversations that caregivers have behind the backs of their loved ones and why they occur. Well, this situation took that to the next level. In a way, finding out before my mom was really helpful because it gave us a head start on the processing and grieving. So when my mom found out, we could be strong for her instead of having to reconcile with the news alongside of her. But it was really challenging because when we would talk to her, she would question what's happening next. What does this mean for my treatment? And we couldn't respond truthfully. We had the answers, but we couldn't let on to that fact. I've talked before about how people's disposition and personalities really inform how they react to being in a medical crisis. If I found out that my loved ones knew information about my treatment when I had cancer and didn't tell me, I would be absolutely furious. However, that would have never even happened because I was in complete control of the information pipeline from my medical providers, but the point still stands. But since we knew that my mom was an emotional suppressor and a repressor, we realized that the best way for her to receive the news was from a medical provider that she loved and trusted, because in no way had she grappled with her mortality, even though she was in an experimental trial that was always deemed a long shot. That didn't matter. She knew that she was doing treatment at the time, so she felt like it could work, so she didn't have to think about her death. So we knew it wouldn't be received well if we told her that she was dying or if some random medical provider from the ER told her that she was dying. She really needed to hear it from a medical provider who she loved and trusted. My biggest regret from this period of time was not immediately hopping on a plane home so that I could be by the side of my mom once again. My dad told me to wait because my Aunt Libby was showing up and she would be there throughout the work week when my dad, my brother, and my sister-in-law were all busy, and she would be the one to be there when my mom received the news so that my mom would not be alone. However, it was really torturous being completely out of the loop for the first time since I had become a primary caregiver. I finally understood what my sister was experiencing the entire time my mom was going through treatment and why she would get so agitated with me when I would not give her updates. It's really hard when you have no way to know what's going on and the only people you can rely upon are always busy with what is actually going on in the moment. And two, my Aunt Libby was not the most reliable person, and she didn't show up to the hospital in time to be with my mom when she received the news from her oncologist. So my mom was alone hearing that she was going to die. Meanwhile, I was just alone in my apartment in New York City. I could have been there for my mom in that moment. To this day, this mistake still makes my stomach turn over. So if you are a caregiver for a loved one who really leans on you or others for support, never let them experience a critical appointment or hospital visit alone. Beyond being there for them in their time of need, it also allows you to hear exactly what a medical provider is telling them. None of my family will ever know what my mom's oncologist told her on January 5th, 2015. We only know what she heard through the fog of emotions. This can lead to confusion and misunderstandings, which can be so detrimental when you are trying to help your loved one cope, especially when they are finding out news like they are going to die from their disease. This concludes the companion content for part 4 of my book, Losing Linda May. In the next video I'll be releasing on January 6th, I'll be talking about the content that I ended up cutting from the beginning of part 5. So hit subscribe, leave any questions in the comments, the link to the book is in the description, and I will see you all on the 6th.